Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the stage. Let's get right into it. David, you are a computer science PhD from MIT, and in your company, Two Sigma, that you founded, you use a lot of high power computing, machine learning, distributed uh, computing to do a lot of your trading strategies. Can you help us do a deep dive and say which aspects of all these computing is considered AI?
That's in a way, a funny question because today, the important thing to understand is all computing is AI. Because if you say that you're using AI, everyone feels that you're leading edge, your valuations go up, and so forth. So AI has become essentially a buzzword for computing. But that really is, in a way, just a funny way of saying that AI is just a whole bunch of different techniques and approaches that people have actually been using for 30 years. Today, AI is largely, to this group, I would imagine, large language models, ChatGPT. That's something that's actually quite different from other kinds of machine learning approaches. AI is a really big, diverse field, but it's become, in a way, narrowed down by the current uh, cycle of companies like OpenAI and Anthropic deploying in large scale large language models.
Right. Well, hopefully, we'll be able to unpack what you have just said later on. Bill, your company that you founded, SSNC, you've got a solution called AI Gateway that helps your customers integrate their work processes into AI into their work process. Can you elaborate on how that works?
Well, one of the things that we think is really important is if you're going to start using AI, that in a big way, that you need to have controls, and you need to be able to keep the AI agents that you have doing a lot of things for you. It has to know that there's boundaries. So our AI gateway has guardrails where we don't let it out of certain parameters that we have set up prior to allowing it to really solve a number of problems for us and speed up our processing and allow it to grab data from all over the place, but always in a controlled manner that our people can feel good and our customers can feel good that we're doing it in a controlled manner.
Right. I want to sort of you two gentlemen to take a look at the products and the work that you have. Do you use computing just to come up with a range of probabilistic solutions for the human to make a decision on, or does the computer actually take over the thinking for you?
Well, I think uh, in, in, in the use cases that I've been involved with at my company, it's always been a partnership between the humans, the people, and the algorithms. Uh, and that's, I think, an important point because to effectively use computing, to effectively use AI, you really need to have the right people that can form this sort of partnership. AI technologies are not turnkey. You can't just deploy it and have it magically transform your business. You can't magically use it to generate new ideas and new profits for a company. So the partnership is what's really important. When I founded my firm, this partnership between technologists and business people and the algorithms was a key, the key concept really in building the whole organization. And over the years, the partnership between man and machine, or person and machine, has only grown stronger.
Right. William, is that the same kind of experience with your clients?
I think it's a little different because David at Two Sigma is constantly looking for returns and looking for ways in which to take advantage of opportunities around the world. We basically are making sure that all the trading and transaction processing is reconciled and delivered back to our clients in ways they want. So things that we use AI the most is we might get a credit agreement and we might get 2,000 credit agreements in our clients. And we'll have AI agents that will scrub those credit agreements, give us all the relevant information, and allow us to move that through our systems and get it back to our clients a lot faster than we could if you did it manually. We also do it with, general partners like David really want you to have their limited partner statements perfect, right? Like, don't spell your name wrong, Eugene, or right? That's really unpopular. So we'll have an AI agent that scrubs all the limited partnership statements, checks all the names, checks all the addresses, checks all the numbers, and that's really effective for us.
But to David's point earlier on, where everything is AI, but what you've just described is really just high-powered computing.
Well, it can think, right? If it doesn't have something, it'll go to another document and find out, did you change your address? Did you put in a change of address form? Did you have a new child?
So it can reason.
It can go in it can do it fast.
Right.
Which is, if you have hundreds of LPs, it's something where that can take a lot of time if it's done manually, which we did it manually for a long time.
Okay. I want to quickly touch on the point of risk, weighing of risks. Theoretically, you can calculate the probability of risk down to a trillionth of a percent, right? But at the end of the day, it is still up to a lot of humans to make an emotional gut instinct. Where does gut instinct or emotions factor in this world of AI and probability right now?
In a way, you're asking a very philosophical question. So I've thought quite a bit about what is a gut instinct. And in the end, I can't really figure it out. So I think that people that have a good gut instinct, usually when they say, I think this is what's going to happen, they have to be right more often than they're wrong, right? That's what it means to have a good gut instinct. And I'm not sure that they're being random. I mean, we don't really understand how we think. It may just be that they're exposed to a lot of data, this is a human, and they integrate the data in their brain, and an idea pops into their head, and then I'm going to do that. That may not be just a gut instinct. That may be the result of some very thoughtful thinking that's going on deep inside your brain. So now you look at an AI system. You've all used ChatGPT, for example. Sometimes it will kind of give you the impression that it has a gut instinct. And why would that be? Well, because it's taking lots and lots of data. It's kind of integrating it together using large language model technology. And then it just says, this is what I think. Okay, that may not be so different than human gut instinct. We don't know. But the short answer is, if you think that the results from a large language model are good, if you think that its gut instinct is usually right on certain topics and so forth, it doesn't really make a difference. Is this human gut instinct or AI gut instinct? Probably not a big difference, in my opinion.
What do you think, Willem?
Well, I think David's point is that, we all talk about intuition and things like that. And, for people that aren't in finance or don't manage portfolios or don't manage their own money even, sometimes they talk about their returns, and someone will tell you, well, I had 50% returns. I said, yeah, me too, when I go to Vegas and put it on red and it happens to come up red, right? But one might think that the next time I go to Vegas, my return might be not 50, it might be minus 50, right? So, again, as you look at patterns, as you see recognition, I mean, at SS&C, we've done 84 acquisitions. And so you start seeing patterns, right? And you start understanding that, hey, this makes sense and this doesn't make sense. And I don't know that there's anything other than, sort of intuition or gut instinct, similar to what David said before about, the large language models and AI can start looking at those acquisitions and piling up, hey, these are good, these are not so good. And pretty soon you start getting a pattern that says, you know, Eureka, let's do this,
Right.
right? And so it's both humans and compute power.
Working together. Okay, one more philosophical question before we get down to the topic at hand, which is what happens when AI gets real. Let me ask you this. Do you think AI will become self-aware or achieve sentience, as they call it?
Probably if it does, we'll never know. It's an interesting, you can just think about the person sitting next to you in the audience. Are they really sentient or not? You're going to just expect that they are, but you have no way to really prove it. And so this, I think, is a pretty deep philosophical question where, if you were to ask, an LLM, are you sentient? It could very well say, yeah, I am. You might say impossible, a machine can't be sentient, but I think in the end it's going to be a question that doesn't have an answer.
Sounds like a bit of a cop-out.
Well, look, the one thing I'll say, I've always believed that the human mind is essentially a computer, a biological computer, and that whatever the human mind is doing, eventually it will be replicated in some kind of digital computer. And so if we replicate the human mind completely, then I guess you end up with a sentient machine.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think, you can go back 30, 40 years, and there's 2001: A Space Odyssey, and HAL seemed to get pretty smart there for a while and start spouting orders at the humans, and it kind of gave everyone a jarring effect. And same thing today. You go back, say, 50 years or 60 years, 70 years, and they have somebody have an ailment, and they bleed you. So that seems to be a tad barbaric in 2025 terms. Whereas today, if you get a cancer, you may get burned, right, with radiation, or maybe you get poisoned with chemo. But something tells me 25 years from now, they're going to look back at this and say, boy, that was barbaric, right? So as learning happens, and again, all these things that the computers are constantly layering on, I think pretty likely it will be sentient. It will think.
Okay, let me ask you this. So how will AI change the world that we live in? Right? Back in the late 90s, before the internet became ubiquitous, nobody can imagine life as we know it today. How the internet has upended changed our lives, changed society, changed the way we work, the way we consume, the way we play, etc., etc. So, given what we know about AI now, looking forward 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now, what will the world be? Would you care to speculate?
I think it's a lot harder to imagine than people might think. None of us were around, but if you go back to when electricity was being commercialized, no one would have imagined something like this behind me. And the electricity obviously has transformed everything in ways that were unimaginable. People were thinking about light bulbs, electricity, we don't need candles anymore. Then you think about the internet, as you said, in the mid-90s. No one really imagined that it was going to become like electricity. It was going to be ubiquitous. There's no way we can turn the internet off today any more than we can turn off electricity, because we depend upon it for absolutely everything. It's an important fabric of our lives. I believe that in 10, 15 years, probably not 5, AI is going to be like that. It will be ubiquitous. We just depend upon it for everything that we do, and it will be impossible to live without it. And so, you're not going to really think about it as a standalone technology. You're just going to think it's just like electricity. We need it.
Yeah, I believe that that's 100% true. And, you know, today, if you think about what's really changing your life or your children's life or others, you know, it's probably your cell phone. You know, when I was growing up, you really didn't want to lose your wallet. Now you really don't want to lose your phone, you know, and those kinds of things kind of change people's lives. I mean, I went to school from Indiana to the University of Hawaii when I was 18, 6,000 miles from home and no telephone.
Let's zoom in. How will it change the way we work? How will it change the way we work? We know that there's been a lot of discussion that menial, repetitive work will be redundant, right? So it will free us up to do more creative work. Is that what will happen?
I think it's a little bit different. I think, and again, this goes back to imagining something that has not yet come to be. So the nature of work is just going to change quite a bit over 20 years. And so jobs are going to look different. We're going to work in different ways. It would be too narrow to think that AI is just going to take the existing kind of jobs that we all have and make them more efficient. That's not what the internet did. It created a whole new category of jobs. It reshuffled the economy. Just look back at, from the 90s to where we are today. Everything is completely reshuffled. And so AI is going to do the same thing. Many people say, oh, the big thing about it is we'll become 20% more efficient or whatever, pick a number. I think the big thing about it is it's going to reshuffle the entire global economy in ways that have not yet been invented.
Will it change the way we need cognitive skills? Will our cognitive skills be changed?
I would say probably. I mean, I think what's really going to impact things in the next 5 years is going to be quantum computing. And that's going to take things and make it so much faster in everything that we do. It's going to, wow, I don't need to go study that. I know it already. So what can you do with that knowledge? And can you turn it into something that's very profitable for you or very enlightening for you? I think that's what's really going to happen.
How will we even interact with the three of us before we meet? You rely on an AI agent to filter out our personalities and relations before we interact. How will humans interact in the age of AI?
Well, we're going to interact differently, just like social media has made us all interact differently, just like cell phones has made us all interact differently. No one even remembers how we used to interact before, you could just pick up your mobile phone and send a text message.
Yep, of course.
Right. And on that note, let us wrap it up. Please join me in thanking David Siegel and William. Thank you so much.